ICG Coach and Connect for giving me the opportunity, because I actually the one who put up my hand, and then I connect with Wendy, and I was like, I told Wendy, I want to give it a go, to improve in terms of my speaking gig. So Wendy introduced me to Jen, then we had the conversation, and thank you so much, Jen, for giving me the opportunity. So we did a very short interview the other day, yeah, and it was, yeah, for me it was fun. We didn't plan for it. I had so much fun with it. And also to everyone here today, thank you so much, guys, for being here. I really, really appreciate. I know that's kind of like tempting as what Louis was saying on the other side, talking about the beginners to 100K, 100,000K. But today with this small group, I truly appreciate, because for you, spending your time together with me today. So let's rock forth and do it together. Let's have fun. I know that our group is small, but let's interact with one another. I would love that. I would appreciate that as well. So basically, Jen has already introduced who I am. So I've been in the Coaching Institute for 3 years already. So by end of April, it's 3 years, exactly 3 years. So yeah, it was a very amazing journey. So basically, I've been teaching in the university more than 25 years. And I also have been experienced running many different kinds of businesses for about 15 years. So there's a lot of ups and downs. So there are some of the businesses that I invested pretty kind of, I would say it's a huge investment. So I think one of it is having a laundry. So where I have roughly about 10 staff. So I have that experience. And then I also run a restaurant business as well. So the restaurant business I stayed for about 4 years. To tell you guys the truth, I started my business when I was very, very young, at the age of 7. Yeah, 7 years old. I started my business in school back home in Malaysia, where I sold festival cards, because back home in Malaysia, we have so many festivals. Deepavali, Chinese New Year, Christmas, Eid. So every festival, I'll make sure that I sell cards, 5 cents, and I purchase it for 5 cents and I sell it for 10 cents. So at 7 years old, I already make an income. Yeah, so I enjoy when it comes to business and everything. I really enjoying it. So I did my degree in Michigan State University when I was 19 years old. So that is where my journey began. So I enrolled. I had a degree in business administration and business management. Then after that, I go until master's, and PhD is actually specialized in marketing and branding. So business world, marketing world, this is my world. and, and the thing is that I love teaching. I love sharing knowledge. And one thing, the reason why I decided to become a business coach is because of my experience, 15 years experience running businesses, multiple businesses. There are times where I fail my businesses, a couple of businesses that I fail, and it was horrible. It's no fun at all. So I was like very curious with myself. How come there are businesses that are doing pretty well, but it doesn't stay long? But there are some businesses that I did very well, and then after that, it just crashed. So that experience and curiosity makes me starting to realize that, hey, there's something that I have to learn and start exploring. And the moment when I joined the coaching institute, then only I started to realize that there are so many mistakes in the past that I have done. And when I mentioned about all these mistakes and everything, because being in the entrepreneurship world, it's very challenging. It's a very uncertainty world. You have no idea what is going to happen the next day, the following day, the next month, and so on. But the last business that I did, it failed so badly that it affected not just financially, but also my well-being, my relationships, and everything. So that is the reason why my mission is so strong, to support all the people out there who really want to learn about business. Make sure the first thing is do it right. Even though you as a solopreneur, make sure you have that strong foundation and make it right, so that if anything happen, if you fall, you won't fall flat. Yeah. So but today what we're going to do, if you look at my topic today, is because this is where I did my PhD on brand personality. But before we begin, let's have a simple game. Do you guys want to play games? Yep.
Yes, please.
So what we're going to do is, I would love everyone to unmute yourself. So unmute yourself first. All right, thank you. And the name of the game is called Top of the Mind Awareness Game. So I am going to ask you a question. Please do not think too long. Whatever things in your mind, you just say it very quickly, okay? Right, let's do this. Okay, what brand that comes to your mind when you think of coffee?
Yes,
Cafe.
Blue Mountain.
Let's go of it. Right. What? Okay. Thank you. What brand comes to mind when you think of energy drink?
Powerade.
Red Bull.
Rebel. All right. How about diaper?
Kimby's.
Huggies.
Huggies.
Huggies, Kimby's.
Oh God.
Uh.
Haven't used it for a long time. Too long.
I know, same here.
Nappy.
Chocolate.
Cadbury.
Wow, majority of you guys said Cadbury. Interesting. Toys?
Oh.
Hanex.
Lego.
Nestle.
Right, Lego's a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing as well, Roshi. Lego.
Mm-hmm.
So this is quite an interesting, I would say, game where we as a marketers, we do this by measuring it. So what do we measure actually with this game? What do we measure? What do you think?
Memorable brands.
Brand awareness.
And
Brand awareness, yes. Yep. So here again, this is one of the things where before I talk about, memorable and forgettable, it is very, very crucial and important, whatever it is in marketing, because later we're going to talk more about marketing and branding. Yep. So one of the metrics where marketers measure is called brand awareness. Yep. So what I'm trying to say here is when I ask you what brand comes to mind when you think of blah, okay? So this is what we call unaided awareness. Unaided awareness means that I'm not giving you any tips. I'm not giving you any clue. It just, boom, it comes from your mind. But the moment, for instance, like just now, I mentioned about chocolate. Everybody will like, one go, Cadbury. Isn't it awesome if if our brand is among top of the mind among our market, isn't it? Yep.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Because when our brand achieve unaided awareness, what is it saying is where it correlate highly with brand loyalty. What does that brand loyalty actually means? What does it means to you?
You're asking a question?
Yeah.
Yes. It means that I will always go back to that as my first preference.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
What else? What does brand loyalty means to you?
It's the one you buy the most.
I will not change for anything else.
Yeah,
It's trusted with you. You know what it's like.
exactly. And it's always in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
in your consumer's mind. The good thing, this is whatever things we talk about awareness, loyalty is something which is intangible, correct? But in marketing research framework, all this intangible measurement, we can actually measure it and we call it as a metrics. So why we must measure it, whether it's tangible or intangible, in marketing perspective, everything needs to be measurable. Why? Is because we wanted to identify the gap and also what would be the best strategy. Because remember, guys, we are talking about business here. Business is not something that we have to sit down and being so laid back. It's not. It's very, very competitive, where I am going to share with you guys today. The reason why I'm coming up with this concept and everything is because of the competition. But the good thing is that one of the things that I would love to share with everyone, how important it is, to have that brand awareness in your business, because that relates to brand loyalty. Because the moment when people are loyal, what will happen next?
Business will continue.
Business will continue. I love that. It's more about sustainability. What else?
Make some money.
High demand.
high demand, and the most important thing is about word of mouth.
That's right.
Yeah, because in marketing, brand loyalty, we measure using a metric called Net Promoter Score. In many businesses out there, they love to measure brand loyalty, because that is one of the metrics to measure whether your business can sustain long. Because what we're going to explore today, guys, today is memorable or forgettable. So we are going to explore two things here. Why I touch the word on memorable or forgettable? Yep, we mentioned about the competition is getting too tight, too stiff. And plus with the technology. So what we need to do is, when we talk about awareness, it's kind of like top of the mind. It's showing how strong your brand is. It's showing how people can remember your brand. Yep.
Yeah.
Because once you reach to that level whereby your brand will be visible to the market, especially to your niche market. Because once you are become remembered, you are visible in your market, definitely you need to be more competitive as well. Okay. So why I'm sharing when I'm talking about this first information about memorable and forgettable, it's quite interesting, because this is based on my experience as well. When I started my journey as a coach, I always share this with people out there. I'm just nobody. Nobody knows me. Who is this Yasmin? Where does she come from? Why she got all this accent and everything, So when I started this journey, I started to realize, because when I built up my brand image and everything, it's not just by accident. It's with intention, with purpose, based on my understanding of the concept of brand personality. So I'm just sharing with you guys. I hope you don't mind. Yeah. So when I started this journey, so as I mentioned, I purposely already wanting to build up certain personality of my brand image. Yep. So what happened is, I shared with Jen the other day, 2 years ago, I was like doing a volunteering work with one of these organization, nonprofit organization. So, but because of the COVID-19, I stopped, like giving talk, those kind of thing. So it's quite interesting, because I have asked a couple of people who invited me, so this woman, she contacted me 3 days ago, and I was like, wow, I haven't heard from you for about 2 years. And I'm just curious, what makes you decided to call me today? And she said, Yasmin, the moment when we decided to come up with this event, your name out of my mind. I was like, oh my God,
Did the right thing.
this is so interesting. And I've got a couple of experience going through this, this experience a couple of times, which makes me very curious, where I wanted to explore today how I did it. And I want to share with you guys today. Will that be awesome?
Yes.
That's it for the tips. Yeah?
Wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right, let's do this. So number one is more about looking how we can identify in terms of, being visible in the market, so that you become more competitive, because I must use the word competitive here, guys, because we are in the business environment. Competition is still there, whether you like it or not. Yeah?
Yep.
Because this is how the game is. I always mention business is all about game. Business is all about wanting to be number one. Business is all about having to have the right strategy. So you always be number one, so that people will remember you. So number two is where I am going to give you a bit of, I would say to explore a bit, to understand one of the concept called brand personality. So I have been using this concept, and I've been researching this for 4 years in my PhD. And because because some of you guys know, how I started my journey and everything. Again, as I mentioned, it's not by accident. I came up with all this brand image. I did not do that. I had that intention. I already planned my journey. I already planned who I want to be, what specific brand image that I want to build. Okay. So there are so many strategies out there when we talk about marketing. Okay. So just now when we mentioned about, when you guys were saying about how difficult it is to get leads, and automatically your thinking is where marketing is all about social media. It's not. So social media is only one of the tools. Okay. So what I'm going to help you guys today is more about having that understanding and exposure. The most important thing first is the concept. The moment you understand the concept, then only you know what tools to use. Okay, let's say for instance, like you want to play a piano. Before you want to play a piano, you must know how to read notes. Treble clef. What's the other one? I can't remember. I learned how to play piano last time. Treble clef and can't remember. There's another one. But you still need to understand the notes, right? And then there are notes where you have to play and then you have to count. Now you have to wait, 3 counts or 4 counts, or you can just make it fast, staccato. Ding, ding, ding. So the moment when you know the concept, then only you'll be able to play the piano. Yep. So same goes in business as well. Right. Why is this important, guys? Why is it important and why I wanted to share with you guys? Because during COVID-19, I decided to pivot my business online. The moment when I pivot, I gained so much knowledge. I learned all the techniques and everything. You know what I found? I found the competition is getting way much harder. And the competition, the moment when you are into the digital world, to tell you guys the truth, it becomes so noisy, so congested. I feel suffocated. That's why I feel like, it's good sometimes to be out from the digital world. It's just too competitive. People will do anything to compete and be number one. And some of them are not doing in an ethical way. Because of the competition and because of the technology. To tell you guys the truth, the moment when you have this idea, you have that strategy, you do it today, your competitors will follow you tomorrow. Super, super fast. So I'm sharing this not to scare you guys off, but to make you see there's other possibility that can reduce your stress, as what I have been doing for my business as well. Okay. So when we talk about the technology again, technology is getting too transparent, correct? Last time when you took a taxi, you don't even know how the taxi driver looks like. But now when you take Uber know how you look like. And the Uber drivers know how the consumers looks like. And then they even know their names and everything. It becomes too transparent. Even with this technology, one competitors know what other competitors are doing. And also for the consumers, my gosh, the choices out there is just crazy. People getting too overloaded with so much information and everything. So how can we compete if we are a small business? What do we need to do? Yeah, have you heard about how you differentiate yourself from others? You just got to be different from others. Of course, we're already different. You are different, I'm different, you are authentic, I'm authentic. But definitely, there will definitely be tools. We can't just depend. Sometimes people will say, you just got to be different. You just be yourself. Just be authentic. Then what? The target market will come to you just like that? Nah, there is a strategy. It's not just simply by being authentic. I'm different from the rest, therefore I can compete in the market. So I am going to share with you guys in terms of the strategy and also the technique, so that, again, you don't feel overwhelmed and it's kind of like a structure for you to follow. Would that be okay? Awesome.
Show us the money, Yasmin.
All right, good. Right now, let's have this conversation. Okay, I'm always curious. Every time when I do this training, I'm just curious in terms of how you define the difference between marketing and branding. Let's have this conversation. That will be fun. So what's the difference between marketing and branding based on your own understanding? Let's share this together. Yeah, be creative with it. Yeah, Niroshi, go ahead.
I think branding is how you position yourself as yourself, like it's you who you represent and what your business means and what it brings out to the consumer. Marketing is after you branded yourself, you put it all around the world so the people get aware of your brand and you.
Awesome. Right.
Is that
That's okay. We still brainstorm.
Does it make
There's no right or wrong answer here. But I love how you show the difference between the two. Awesome, Niroshi. Thank you. Who else?
Thank you. Well, branding is the who are you going into market looking like or being like or feeling like, and the marketing is the actual effort of getting that brand out there.
Almost there. Almost there. Good. Thank you so much, Jen. Who else?
Couple of ticks.
Lian?
I tend to think branding is sort of like Naroshi. It's about you, but it's about the values. So even for a company, it may not be about one individual, but it's about the values that they have or they like to be known for. And the marketing to me is more the products and services and the channels that they're using to get the nitty gritty out there.
Yep. Thank you so much, Lian.
they reaching their ideal clients? Marketing.
Marketing is to reach your ideal client, yeah, Niroshi? So let me narrow down in terms of the question between marketing and branding to help you guys a bit more. And again, let's just brainstorm together, okay? So what do you hope to achieve when you market your business? And what you hope to achieve when you brand your business?
In branding, you are putting yourself up for people to know you, like Coca-Cola, like Microsoft, like Apple. So this is the brand of the items that are being sold.
Nice.
And then in marketing, you are taking action to attract people to you so that they will like your brand and then as such accept it and embrace it and follow it. And as such, you'll get the benefits.
Well done, Louis. I love it when you mentioned about action.
Action, yeah.
Yeah, taking
That's
action.
marketing.
The action.
Yeah, it's marketing. Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
So is marketing, if we look at it, the marketing's the action that you go and take and the people that you want to get to, and the branding is like above the line, and it's your vision, values, and your structures around and your purpose of the Coca-Cola's purpose is to make people fat, basically.
Love that.
I know they'd agree with that.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't agree with that, but it's to sell a lot. I mean, their purpose is to make. Isn't their marketing is if you drink Coca-Cola, you will be a happy, skinny person. That's their marketing. But the branding is it's a sugary drink that's in a red tin.
Interesting.
Something like that.
Branding for me is about how you want to be in terms of branding, what you want to achieve. I think that was Jasmine's question. It's really about for people to know you as a brand, and then to market is that whatever product that I have in that brand is available for sale.
Awesome. So it's good because you guys can see the difference. Yeah, Niroshi, go ahead.
Just came to my mind. So branding is actually the message about who you are that you're giving out to the world, your hero's journey or whatever, who you are, so that they know who you are and the value you bring, the value your company brings. And the marketing would be the process of taking it to the people.
Yeah.
And attracting my ideal client.
Awesome.
Am I getting?
So congratulations. Every single one of you guys know the difference between marketing and branding. But let's go and dive in further when we mention about marketing. There's a process for it. Because what is the idea of marketing? Your business. What is the idea of it? What is the purpose?
To get sales.
Before you reach sale, what is happening?
Client.
Awareness.
Exactly.
Filtering.
Awareness. We want people to be aware, Because the moment when people know what you're doing, what's next? So therefore, there's a process. Before, we wanted people to purchase our product. Yep, in marketing, we are actually analyzing every single stages until looking at their purchasing behavior. We wanted to look at the overall of the purchasing behavior. But before people purchase it, of course, firstly, they need to be aware. Okay? Because the moment when people are being aware with it, therefore, what's next? They feel there's a connection. And we call it, one of the metrics is called association. They feel associated with certain brand. Because the moment they feel associated, hey, something is pretty interesting that is kind of similar, to probably my image or my identity or my personality, Have you had any experience when you purchase certain brand, you will look at that brand and then you start looking back at your brand image and you feel that there is a match? Or even you have an experience purchasing a gift to your friend. And then you start looking at, let's say, for instance, you wanted to buy a watch. And then when you look at the watch, the brand of the watch, or even the product, and then you start trying to align whether this watch is kind of like resemble the personality of my friend. It looks good with that person identity. Have you had that experience?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah. So
Good.
this is what we call as brand association. And I am going to dive in further how that built, and then I'm going to share with you guys how this has been proven in my PhD. That is so strong because the moment when they feel associated with whatever brand, with their image and personality, they will engage much more faster. Okay. So once there's an engagement, what will happen? Definitely build relationship. I'm going to commit. I'm going to purchase the product. Is that all?
And then I'll buy it again.
What's that? Sorry?
And then I'll come back and do it again.
Yeah.
And they'll tell others.
Purchase it again. Purchase it again. Purchase it again. Tell other people how amazing this brand is. And what is happening? You build that brand loyalty. Because in the process of marketing, I can see so many people, they kind of like use either on the first phase or in the middle or in the end. But many did not actually go through the process until the end, where you want your client to be loyal to you. That's the most crucial part, because the moment they are loyal, what is happening? Word of mouth is getting very, very strong. That's what you want. Because I can see so many people out there, when they did marketing, they probably just go into a few stages. Oh, people being aware of me, that's it.
Yeah.
Or people might be interested, but they did not go through every single process until brand loyalty. Yeah. So how about in terms of branding? Yeah, go ahead, Leanne.
So the like, know, and trust is at the middle bit.
Which one is that? Sorry.
You know how we're taught about like, know, and trust.
Mm.
Is that the middle section, or is that in the first section of awareness?
Normally it sits in the middle.
In the middle, okay.
But you have to work harder in a way that how you can build that, not just association, but also work harder in terms of engaging, building that trust. So that's what Beth's daughter was saying just now about consistency. You got to be very consistent in terms of your marketing. So that is one of the biggest challenge as a marketer, right? So, but that doesn't mean that if you're not consistent means that there's no other options for you to market your products or services. Because when I started my journey, I'm not that consistent, but I'm glad that I'm still getting sales, and I am going to give you some tips on how to do that. All right. Okay. So when it comes to branding, amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing, your your own understanding what branding is all about. But I love the concept by Jeff Bezos. What he mentioned about branding is when people talk about you when you're not in the room. Branding is about when people talk about you when you're not in the room. They're gossiping about you. How awesome is that? Yeah, that is branding. So in other words, it's the consumer's perceptions you wouldn't be able to change consumers' perception, but you have that ability how to tweak. In marketing, sometimes we use the word manipulation. We manipulate the word brand image. Yeah, marketers, they're so good in manipulating. I'm sorry to say that. But that is one of the way on how they wanted to build certain brand image. For instance, like Coca-Cola, how they built that certain image, like Nikes and everything, how it can actually embed it in the mind of the consumers. How amazing is that? Yeah, right. So is that good with everyone? Are you guys all right in terms
Wonderful, excellent.
yeah, excellent. So you now understand, yeah, between branding and marketing.
Yeah.
Because marketing is something that you can control. Branding is, I'm not saying that you can't control, you can still build whatever image that you want, but at the end of the day, the result comes from the perceptions of your consumers, how consumers perceive you. So how do you want consumers to perceive you? There's a technique for it, okay? Now, before we begin, before I explain you much more deeper, please tell me if it's too technical, stop me. Yeah, all good. All right, so I just want to share with you now, let's go deeper in terms of, because we're talking about memorable, we want people to remember us and everything. So one of the concepts where I'm going to share with you guys today is called brand personality. So I'm going to share a very, one of the concept. Can you guys see from here?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So brand personality is where, this is where I've been researching for 4 years, trying to understand what brand personality is, okay? So brand personality was created by an author by the name, by a researcher. Her name is Aker. So she found these 5 specific dimensions: sincerity, excitement, competence, sophistication, and ruggedness from her research study in 1997. Okay, so brand personality is basically, it's been, I would say, developed from the basic foundation of Big 5 personality. How many of you guys have heard about Big 5 personality? Let me know.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, cool. So if you're in the coaching industry, Big 5 personality is very, very familiar, correct? Yep, because Big 5 personality measuring the personality of a human being. And it's quite interesting because brand personality is not measuring the personality of a human being. It's measure the personality of a product, a brand, or any kind of services. Now, in 1997, when Aker decided to hypothesize that people can perceive certain product or brand with certain personality, she got bombarded by many researchers out there. In fact, when she came out with this study, she's been criticized a lot. And they were saying that her work is just crap. How can people perceive a brand that has a personality? Really? So her question in her study is where she I can't remember how many participants who participate in her study. The first study she did about 300 people. I think for about 300 people. So what she did is she get these 300 people to look at certain product or brand, for instance, like Coke. And she asked all these participants, if Coke is a person, what is actually the personality of Coke? If McDonald's is a person, what is the personality of McDonald's? It's quite interesting, yeah? So because of her theory, people bombarded her and saying that this is crazy. How come only human being has personality? What do you mean by brand having a personality? And you know what? When I decided to do my PhD in brand personality, I got bombarded too. 3 of my supervisors, only 1 agree. Another 2 saying, you're going to kill yourself, Yasmin. Don't do that. You're going to fail your PhD. I said, nah, because of my stubbornness and because of my curiosity, I said, you know what? I still want to do it because I'm very curious. I just want to know what this brand personality is all about. And I wanted to prove certain theory. I want to come up with my own self. So the specific theory that I wanted to come up with is that if people can actually perceive certain brand to have a personality, will there be any association within the person who perceive that personality of the brand? Do they have any connection? And my study have proved very strongly, the moment when your products or services has a personality, the association is getting stronger because they feel connected. They feel like, hey, you and me like friend. We have similar personality. I like you, you know? So that is one of the argument that I did in my, in my PhD. And if you can look from here, it's quite interesting because she came out this 5 dimension. And I love that dimension. It's not that I'm saying I don't like this big 5 personality, but for me, it's just too confusing, for me to implement and the rest as well. And there's so many companies out there, to tell you the truth, guys, are actually using brand personality concept to build their brand image.
Mm.
And with these 5 dimensions, sincerity, excitement, competence, sophistication, and ruggedness, after she's being criticized, there were thousands of papers out there has been testing across other brands, across other products. In fact, they even measure a country also has a personality. Amazing, yeah?
Yeah.
And also, quite interesting, another thing, they even measure politicians also have a personality. How amazing is that, yeah? Right. So, okay, so do you guys have any question with regards to Big 5 personality and brand personality? How is that sitting with you guys? You might be like wondering, how can I use this brand personality then on myself? Yeah. And then how that relates with your business, correct? You might be like wondering, and then how does that relate in terms of being remembered, memorables and everything? Okay, now, the thing here that I would love to share with you, let's talk about human brain. Human brain. Have you heard about the golden circle theory by Simon Sinek? Has anyone heard about that?
I think
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. That's all right. So can you guys let me know if you guys can see from here?
Yes.
Is it okay from here?
Yep.
Okay. So anyone else haven't heard about golden circle rule? No? That's all right. Then I can actually explain further so that it makes more sense to you.
Yep.
Okay. Now, so Simon Sinek mentioned about whatever that you want to do in business, start with why.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I love his question. And I would love to throw this question to you guys. First question. Why does your business exist? Reflect and start asking yourself, why does your business exist? It's quite interesting, yeah? Because
To generate business, to generate profit.
to generate profit? Yeah.
Yes. Make
Make
money.
an impact.
Sorry?
Make an impact.
Make an impact. I love that, Lian. Yeah. That's the reason why my vision of my company is to bring your genius out to the world, because I believe every single one of you guys have your own potential. You have your own genius zone. You just got to stretch yourself, get out there, voice out, be yourself, have your own brand personality, and definitely there will be leads out there who really want to follow you, who wants to be associated. The word here is brand association. Who wants to be associated with you. They want to have that connection with you. Okay. So Simon Sinek mentioned about starting your business with why, which is quite interesting because I have read a couple of other books. And when I first read about his theory, I was like very curious myself. Why he mentioned about starting with why? What does that has to do with business and everything? So he shared about what happened with many people. How and why. Many people out there, when we do business, we always start with what? What does that mean? We always think about our products, our services, how amazing our product is. If we were to compare and to think about our products in the past 50 years, that's fine, because the competition is not as great as now. Because if you talk about chocolate, the chocolate brand in the past 30 years, how many brands are there?
Millions.
Yeah. And if you were to compare chocolate brands today, can you count how many?
Billions.
It's too many, correct? So what the marketers are saying, this is what we call in terms of the commodity. You cannot compete in terms of commodity anymore. It's too hard. If you have a product, for instance, like cereal, how many cereals product out there in the market?
100. Yeah.
Crazy. And how can you differentiate yourself? Yeah. So that's the reason why he mentioned how important whatever it is to begin with why, and then how that relates in terms of our brain. So this is how our brain, oh, I think someone is trying to enter, Jen.
Right, yeah.
We'll go back.
That's good.
So this is how our brain works. Neocortex. The outer part here, we call it as a neocortex. So what is the functions of the neocortex? Anyone wants to give it a go?
That's the thinking, isn't it?
Yeah. More into thinking, rational.
Organizing and
Correct. Everything needs to be rational. Everything needs to be logic. It's all about thinking. Hello, hi. I can see. Is that Prue?
yeah.
Ah, hi. Thank you for being here. But we're almost there, but we can have this conversation. Yeah, no problem at all.
We're in the best part, Prue.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm off mute. Yes, I'm here for the gold. I know it's what's about to happen is going to change my life. I know that.
Thank you, Prue. Thank you.
You're right in the
So
gold.
now, the brain, the outer brain, neocortex is all about logical thinking. It's all about thinking. It's all about rationalizing. Okay. In the middle is limbic brain. What does limbic brain do?
React, emotional.
Running from saber-toothed tigers?
Sorry?
Running from tigers?
Tell me more.
I think it's our fast responsive brain.
Yeah,
So limbic brain is more about feelings and emotions.
feelings and
It's
emotions.
very small in our brain. And the good part here is where, when we talk about consumers' decision making, do you know what? 75% of people making a decision using limbic brain.
You mean they are taking their decisions emotionally?
Yes.
How many of you have an experience making a decision based on your feelings and emotion?
Yes,
Or you have that
emotionally,
instinct?
and then justify it.
Yeah. Have you had any experience? Thank you, bro. Have you had any experience that sometimes it's just too hard for you to make a decision to the extent that you feels like, I just feel right making that decision? Yep.
True.
So how powerful it is when it comes to making a decision based on feelings and emotions. And the moment when you give your prospect the best experience ever, what is going to happen? Whew. They're going to love you. They're going to like you. They're going to remember you until they die.
That's the goal.
How amazing is that? Because I read one of the study by Brian Tracy. Has anyone read the book by Brian Tracy?
Yeah,
Got Brian Tracy
I
on, I think, the advanced selling skill.
Yep.
And he mentioned about how you build your selling skill. 85% come from psychology, all feelings and emotion. Skills only for about 15%. How wonderful is that? And going back in terms of feelings, in terms of your instinct, the beauty about feelings, because sometimes when you make a decision, sometimes you can't just describe it. Have you had any experience where when people ask you, why do you love her? Oh, because she's funny, she's cute. Yeah, there's so many people who are funny and cute, but why her? Yeah. So going back, how that relates with brand personality. Brand personality all involves something which is intangible. It's something that involves related to experience and feelings. Have you had any experience where when you look at certain products or you look at these shoes, wow, these shoes looks very sophisticated. I think it really resembles me. When I wear that shoes, this is how my brand image looks like. Might be subconscious, but it plays around with feelings. Yeah. So that's the reason why if you see some of the businesses out there, I'm giving you an example. Have you been to the restaurant where you can see the chef is cooking and you can see they're making dim sums and everything? Yeah. And you feel like, wow, this is so awesome. And you will remember better. Oh, I remember this restaurant. Yeah.
I love that you say that, because when you just brought that memory to mind, I have negative emotion about that. I don't like watching chefs cook. I don't want to see the process at all, no matter how good they are, or if they can flip it under their armpit. I don't want to know about it. And so I think you're proving your point that number one, I will make an emotional decision, and number two, I will remember. Either way.
Yeah, either way, correct.
Either way.
Yeah, because my friend did her PhD in doing the experimental study with the restaurant where you can't see people working in the kitchen, and another one where very transparent.
Yeah.
And the purchasing behavior goes up. You know, people's remember better with the restaurant where they'll be able to make it transparent. People can see what they are doing. Wow. So I'll give you another example. Okay. Have you had any experience where when you went to some of the, or one of the shopping mall, you're supposed to be there for only half an hour, but you end up staying there for 3 hours?
Guilty.
They're playing around with your emotions and feelings. Trust me. Do you know what one of the strategy that they're using? We did that in the study. I love that.
I'm sure what we can see, like positioning.
Senses.
Not just what you see.
And music.
Smell.
Music.
Yeah.
The music has an impact whether people will stay 30 minutes or longer. To that extent, the marketers are now crazy. Even brand like Porsche, you know, how do they bring that brand image of Porsche? Whereas it's just a car, just like some of the cars. But how can they bring up that brand image? It looks so luxurious and everything.
Yes, man, I think Camicia has a question for you.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Camicia.
I just wanted to get some clarity on the second circle. Is that in the center, that tiny circle, the limbic is in the center, or?
There. Yeah.
The center. So it's the smallest circle.
Correct. The smallest circle.
Okay.
Any other question, Camicia? All good?
No, that was it. I just wanted clarity to make sure that I'm understanding what's going on with the second circular thing.
Because as what Simon was saying is that the why and how is basically the limbic is sitting between why and how, but I'm looking in terms of the brain itself, you know. So the brain, there's one very small, tiny in our brain where it is called the limbic brain, because that is so super powerful. Even though it's small, but that is where it brings all your feelings and emotions. Yep. So going back to the example of Porsche, how do Porsche make their brand become so luxury? One of the ways is they are using the perfume in the car. So when you drove, it sprays that perfume to make you feel, I feel like I'm a millionaire.
Chanel number
What I
5.
also love about that is how risky it is, because, you know, you spray the wrong perfume on me and, you know, all of a sudden I don't like your car. I want to run out of your car. So I again imagine that this is the purity of the brand personality too,
Yeah.
you know, knowing exactly who you're going for.
Exactly. 100% proof. Because when I share with all these concepts, it's not something that they just do it on the spot. They have a metrics to measure.
Yeah.
So when I did my study on brand personality, you know, all those 5 dimensions, it's not simply how you got it, just chunk it and put it in your brand personality dimension. It doesn't work that way. So we use a lot of measurement, a lot of for myself, I do a lot of quantitative study. So I do survey. So I survey roughly about 4,000 people before I can generalize whether the population will behave that specific way. So we call the measurement where we look in terms of the reliability and the validity of the measurement. So it's not just simply you measure once, meaning that the measurement must be measured multiple times. That's the reason why I have to do my PhD for 4 years. If not, you'll be like putting in the wrong theory, then you might end up, you never know, some industry might use your theory and it doesn't work. Then what will happen? You do, man. So yeah, because there's an examiner, because it involves, you know, the name, the brand image of the examiner as well. So what I'm trying to say here is that going back into brand personality, so you have seen all that 5 dimension, right? So now what I'm going to give you, the tips is where how can you bring that brand's personality in you? Because we as a coach, we always hear about, be authentic, just be you, be the true you, and so on. Yeah, but now let's put your marketing hat on. We are talking about measurement and be realistic here. So the last bit is that in order for you to build that brand personality, of course, every single one of you guys have your own personality. However, be mindful when it comes to marketing your products or services, because you want to start looking around who are your competitors. What are they doing? How they are bringing in terms of their personality and how you can differentiate yourself from them. Because why differentiation is very important, where we call it as a unique selling proposition or value proposition, right? Why? Of course, we want to be different so that people can remember us better. But how can we do that? By being authentic is not enough. You got to have what we call as a frame of reference. So which means that your frame of reference, it gives you a bit of guideline. Okay? How do you want to position yourself? So I give you a bit of example, okay? So as I mentioned just now, I do all my branding on purpose. I plan. I don't do it because I'm authentic. I use my authenticity, but I need to have certain frame of reference. Just like, for instance, like you purchase a land and you want to build a house, right? Of course, you're going to build a house on the land that you purchase. You can't build a house on someone else's land.
No.
If you build a house on someone else's land, well, there's a lot of problems going on is one thing, but also how are you going to maintain? Yeah. So now, for me, I believe that whatever it is, you got to have some kind of foundation also, despite your authenticity, but it needs to be within specific framework. Because frame of reference is where, when people look at you, that is the first thing that they're going to see in you. Her brand image somehow looks sincerity. And if I look at excitement, it very much related to the Coaching Institute. Excitement, daring, trendy, exciting, cool, young, spirited, unique, imaginative, up to date. It sounds more like the Coaching Institute. Yeah, Prue? You have a question just now? Oh, I can't hear you, Prue. You got to
mute.
Thank you. My apologies.
No, that's fine.
Can I check what I heard? Because it sounded beautiful, that you're building your brand personality on the land that you own. So that foundation is your authenticity. So your authenticity is the bit you can't kind of move away from anyway, because it's the foundation.
Correct. That's right.
Brilliant.
Because Prue and the rest as well, because if you don't have that foundation, meaning that when we talk about authenticity, about our personality, we can just go everywhere. It depends on the context. You know, sometimes you're gonna have fun, you're gonna yell, but sometimes you'll be like, oh, today I just want to feel sexy, you know. But remember this, guys, this is one of the book that I want to share with everyone. This has changed my life.
Building a Story Brand, Donald Miller. Okay.
So when I built my brand, Donald Miller mentioned about, again, going back to human brain, no matter from which region that you come from, the brain easily captured if things are clear, easy to understand, simple, then brain will be able to capture very well. But the moment when you make it too complicated, too much information, what is going to happen to the brain? Yeah, it will draw off or it will just shut down. Because in other words, going back into brand personality, you can be everywhere here. But your prospect, the brain, how they capture you, they can't capture everything. Why? It's too confusing. Why all of a sudden she becomes so sophisticated and then the next day her brand is about sincerity? It's just like everywhere. So what I'm trying to say here, guys, the frame of reference will help you to maintain on specific brand image or brand personality so that you will not confuse your market. Then after that, you build up, you know, your image, because sometimes it might be not relevant to your, I would say your personality. For instance, I give my example, okay? So I simply want my brand to be competent. I always want this. So when I did my photo shoot with my photographer, I know that I want to be shown as reliable, hardworking, secure, intelligent, corporate, successful, confident. I'm having issues with confident. Initially, it was tough for me. It was very hard. But the good thing is because I frame myself that I want to be in this competence. And I think that will improve the memorability of my prospect the moment I focus on all this specific personality that I wanted to build in. So that I won't go haywire. One day I become sophisticated, the next day I become ruggedness, whatsoever. So I built consistency. So when I mentioned, guys, about brand personality, it's not necessarily, it's just how you dress up, you know, your logo, your brand image and everything, but it's intangible. It's like everything. Even the experience that you bring to your market also plays a very important role. So when I started coming up with my trainings and workshop, I even, to one extent, I look up the place that I wanted to hire, not somewhere dodgy place. Meaning that a place when people come, they feel that, my gosh, this is a very reliable place. So I did the setup and everything that resemble that I am competent. I have books all laid out. So even when I do training and workshop, I make sure that I share whatever knowledge I share. For instance, I give you guys an example of these books and everything. So I always do that in all my training session because that will help me build within that specific personality. Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me if I'm correct. So does that mean that you need to sit in one of those entirely? You can't have flavors from the other categories?
You can have flavors. It's just that these are the main dimension that has been, I would say, measured by Acre. So build this as part of your frame of reference.
Okay.
So probably you might want to add in a bit here and there. That's okay. But focus more. If you want to go into sincerity, then what are some of the criteria that you need to have? So again, I'm saying that it's not just your personality, you know, how you come up with the color of your logo or the consistency on sharing your message to your market and everything. So it needs to be around that frame of reference.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, I answer your question. Yep, Niroshi. Unmute. You got to unmute yourself.
Sorry. So my question
Oops. She freeze.
Madam.
Maybe Prue ask your question and we'll wait for Naroshi to come back.
Yeah, great. So I want to check if I've seen something. You don't have to share this, Yasmin, but I believe I saw brochures of yours. And if they are what I think they are, they impacted me. I think it was a share within TCI, and it was brochures of you, and you were almost a little comical, and you were quite large pictured on the pamphlet. Did I see that? Was that you?
Is that the one? Is it in the brochure or banner?
It was a brochure, and so you were doing maybe a picture of some of the things maybe that you hand out or something you might send a client. I just want to clarify whether, because it'd be super cool if I'd understood that it was yours.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Where did you
I'm
find
sure
that?
it was because it speaks to this question, because I'm sure I remembered you because I saw some things, let's say I'm imagining it correctly, that you were perhaps sending clients. And there were brochures, but it was you, a picture of you on the front, and they were quite bold and fresh. And I would have said they moved more to excitement, which seems like in this conversation, if you're leading with competence, but you're doing a little bit of excitement in a brochure, then you're saying perhaps that there's a sprinkling of the others, but you're driving competence as your main recognizable piece.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm trying to remember, because if it was you, and I'm sure it was.
Yeah, so much. Probably because I remember when I came out with my banner. I'm supposed to put my banner here. I wanted to.
Yes, you are.
You guys, yeah. Because the banner is basically when I decided to have my photos on. When I spoke with my photographer, you know, the way that I stand, and the color of my dress, and also the smile. The smile play a very important role, whether am I a exciting person or competence, to that detail when I spoke to my photographer. So which means that I know so well, when I sat down with him, this is what I want as a brand image, you know, for my own brand personality and brand image. And then I started being very consistent with it. And yeah, of course, I'm a person who is very friendly as well. I can see that myself as in, you know, that sincerity and so on. But frame of reference is where when the first we did, you were not there just now, Prue. We did a simple game just now, you know, top of the mind game. So the moment when they look at Prue, the moment when they look at Eileen, you know, like in the coaching institute, they call it as an archetype.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's almost the same. It's just that today I'm sharing with you in terms of it needs to have a frame. It needs to, because if not, we'll just go out from the land where we should build our house. Then what will happen? We might confuse ourselves. Our market might confuse also.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And if this is too off topic, then we can leave it to later. It prompts me to ask the question. I had made a decision that I wanted to teach my market that I wasn't one thing. So for instance, let's say I've chosen all of what I can see there, 5. I had essentially said, I will choose to be 7 archetypes. I will teach my market that they must let me change, that they can't capture me, that I am the enigma, and that I'm actually physically looking different every time. And that they will not be able to box me in. And for my experience product, they won't be able to capture who they think I am. And so it does sound more complicated though. And I wonder what you think about that.
Because we talk about memorable and forgettable, the topic today, because I remember when Donald Miller mentioned about if you want people to remember you more, you know, make things simple, short and sweet. Because I remember when I did my PhD also, always my supervisor always mentioned to me, Yasmin, make it simple and sweet. Make it simple, because if not, brain can still capture it. But the thing is that we are talking about memorability here. Is about when I help all my clients, I'm talking about not short term. We are talking about long term here. We are talking about sustainability here. So how important, you know, to have that foundation earlier, so that your mindset will be thinking, yes, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to have my business, but it's not short term. It's a long-term game.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Of course.
Narushi, where's Narushi? She wanted to ask questions just now. Yeah.
Yes. She's off camera for a minute.
Oh dear.
You okay, Naroshi?
I can't see if I'm mute. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, we're over time.
Yeah, I know.
And we could talk all night, I think.
Oh,
So
she's
Rosie,
back.
I just want to quickly ask your question, darling, and then we'll be.
Hi. Can you
Yeah.
guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, love. Yeah.
So yes, my question was, so out of these 5 frames, components of the frame, so how do we know which one we want to bring more of? Is it depending on the client, the ideal avatar, or the client that we are aiming at, or is it dependent on who I am as a brand? How do we determine
Roshi? Yep.
which component to
Because
bring
for
more?
me, I have 2 different perspectives because I'm a researcher and academician as well. So I'm looking into the perspective of doing marketing research and understanding about the demographic factor. You know, there are some information that you can grab, for instance, like I can't remember, ADS, you know, database and everything. So you can actually identify in terms of the demographic factor, psychographic factor, who do you want to target with? That is one of the idea that you can start looking at, Naroshi. And secondly, because I'm a practical as well, because I can view things in 2 different ways now. So I'm so grateful that I have that opportunity. So the moment when I started with the Coaching Institute, I did not press the brake. I just go like, boom, speed up to 5 gear, you know, like, because I continuously doing one-on-one coaching. Because when I consistently doing one-on-one coaching, I started to realize that I started to attract that specific avatar. So the moment when I know this is the avatar that I feel comfortable working together with, so I'm trying to match, you know, I'm not saying that I have to compromise a lot, but I love working with this avatar and how I can align it. So again, remember when we talk about brand association, because the moment when you have this specific brand, personality, and then it match the brand personality of your prospect, so it will associate much more easily. So if I look at all my avatars, I was like, sometimes, oh my God, they just represent me, man. It's too scary. The way they dress up, the way they speak, you know, the way how they did the research and everything. But the most important thing is I had so much fun working with them, even though they kind of like represent me. But the environment is just so different. You know, you feel that connection. And then remember when I mentioned about you want that brand loyalty, correct? So the moment when I adjust myself, so understanding where I want to go and who I want to work together with. So going back into memorability, so I started getting client. Initially, they worked together with me like 3 weeks and then they're gone. I was like, what happened? Then now I have clients that work together with me for almost 2 years and they're still wanting to work together with me. And then they start referring me to someone else. So going back into some of you guys were saying about, all this social media have to be consistent and so on. That's just one specific tool. You can use some other tools. You just have to play around here and there until you get the right match. And remember, the last tip is that play around with people's feelings and emotion in the right way, okay? I'm not saying people do not manipulate people, but that connection will give you such a different perspective of your market that they really want to be with you forever. That's the whole idea. So the investment is the best. The moment you know who you want to be, what brand personality that you want to become, and then have that connection so that they will remember you for the rest of their life.
Absolutely. You have shared that so beautifully. And I feel like my journey was very similar in coming through TCI in terms of dating. You know, I didn't wait even for the 90-day challenge in order to find my first client. I got my first client before I went to Fox because it was necessity for me. I thought I might as well find out what I've got before I learn how. I'll at least have a contrast frame, which I did. And there was so much to learn, but it was this thing of I'm as good as my client says I am. So, you know, the guy I got on board paid me before I'd come to Fox. So I thought, okay, game on. And then to date that avatar in that first year who I would never be with now, you know, and to earn from it and to experience. And I remember loving the end of that first year where I went under the hood. I'd been offered 125 grand retainer. I was 5 months in, and I said to them, here's the proposal. Here's how you can fix all of the things in your business, because it was business coaching. And I said, but I'm not going to work with you, because I was so determined to find out who I really wanted to be with. And it would have been such a distraction, because I would have had to completely change myself and almost do a type of coaching that I wasn't built for. But I was getting paid, and that was so tempting. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because you learn in the trenches. And so having the guts to go, I'm not fighting for this. I'm going to let it go and try to go again, getting deeper in love with an avatar that I want, until that's exactly, I mean, I think it still evolves, but that's where I am now. I can hardly tell the difference between work and, you know, and life, because I love the clients so much.
Thank you.
But I love that idea of dating them and just not knowing.
Important.
Sorry,
well done, Mary. Congratulations. You are a legend.
Oh, thank you. Well, and again, I have a retainer that is for 3 years that finishes on April 30.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You got to finish. Oh, look, thank you. I'm sorry I was late. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your share. And everyone will be getting the video sent if I have your email address. So if you've registered and I've got your email address, you'll be getting the video, which I will turn off very soon. So thank you so much, Yasmin.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone.
And I just know that we have to appeal to the emotions of the people. And I think sincerity sounds like my one. So thank you very much. And good luck to everyone in your coaching journey. And next month, we've got Joanna Howes, all the way from England. Hopefully Zoom doesn't play up. So that will be great. And thank you, Yasmin.
For being very supportive and interacting with me. I enjoyed the session today and giving me the opportunity. So yeah, you guys connect with me. You guys know how to connect with me, right? I think majority of you guys have my
Facebook. Is it okay if I send every Yasmin all the email addresses of the
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
And I'll pass them through to you, and you can email them something cool. Maybe that slide.
That's right. That's what I'm going to ask.
That would be really good. Yeah, my computer's playing up, so I can't even do a screenshot or anything. So, maybe
you want me to take a photo?
Yes. Yeah. Let's smile.
Hold on.
Everyone smile.
Leanne, you're going to take a photo.
I'm just going to get rid of the chat. Now we're big screen. We ready, set, go. Smile.
Yay.
Done.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So
Thank you. It was great. Small group, but it's been fun, hasn't it, Yasmin?
Yeah.
Thank you for everything.
That was so interesting, Yasmin.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So
Yeah.
into place now. Thank you.
Yeah,
So,
it was really awesome.
sure.
New perspective.
I just want to say that Jasmine, that was so good, really, to understand about our personality. And I particularly like the slide that you put up. And I forgot to take a photo of that slide.
Okay, I'll send it to Jen, and then Jen will email to everyone. That will be great.
Okay, thank
That's a
you.
good idea.
Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
See
See you.
Have a good. I'll see you next month. Bye.
Thank you, Jan. What a great night.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, so sorry I was late. See you later.
Bye, team.
Yeah.
Bye. See you, Leanne. See you, Naroshi.
Don't forget to stop the recording, Jen.
Oh God. My